my name is Chris Hogan and I'll be your host for Mental Revolution. Today I had a very engaging conversation with Chris J. Mowhawk Reed, who is the only NASDAQ listed CEO with a Mowhawk and author of international best-selling book LinkedIn Mastery for Entrepreneurs. Chris runs Black Marketing, a global company headquartered in Singapore. Chris and I obviously have many things in common given we both live and breathe marketing, but what I found most interesting is Chris's focus on LinkedIn. LinkedIn now has over 500 million professionals globally, and today Chris and I discussed how Black Marketing focuses purely on improving the personal brands of CEOs and business leaders via strategic content marketing and relationship building techniques. I thoroughly enjoyed speaking with Chris, and I look forward to meeting him in person when he comes to visit the Gold Coast in the not too distant future. Thanks very much for listening, and now let's meet Chris J. Mowhawk Reed. All right, so let's go live. We're live here with Chris J. Mowhawk Reed, as it says on his LinkedIn profile, the only NASDAQ listed CEO with a Mowhawk, 70K followers, and best-selling author of LinkedIn Mastery for Entrepreneurs. Welcome, Chris, to the Mental Revolution podcast.
My pleasure. Looking forward to it.
Excellent. So obviously, this is actually our first Skype interview, and
Wow.
You're coming in from Singapore, I understand? Is that right?
I'm indeed. Well, it's beautiful sunshine and 36 degrees, 90 degrees humidity. It's fantastic.
Far out. Well, you can have that because honestly, the heat can get a little bit sticky down here too, and it's not nice. But currently, yeah, it's quite chilly here on the Gold Coast. 12 degrees, I understand.
Wow, my God. It's like UK.
Yeah, we had frost on the grass this morning. But all weather jokes aside, it is an absolutely beautiful place to live. What's Singapore like? You're basing your HQ out of
Based here because it is the natural hub of the whole of Asia Pacific. I mean, I chose it deliberately because it is either this or Hong Kong, and basically Hong Kong is further away from you guys, but also away from Southeast Asia, whereas Singapore, I'm near Australia, I'm near New Zealand, I'm near Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia. I'm also near Hong Kong, 3.5 hours away. I'm also near China, so 4 hours from Shanghai, 4.5 hours from Shanghai, which is our biggest growing hub, for example. So I'm near the North Asia, I'm near the South Asia, and I'm near kind of like Southeast Asia. So it's absolutely perfect location.
Excellent. So you're doing a lot of business in Asia then, by the sounds of things.
Oh yeah, I mean 2/3 of our clients are in Asia, but because we're a global LinkedIn marketing consultancy, we do have clients in America, in the UK, in Europe. I have to separate those two out now, UK and Europe.
Oh yes.
As we have mad people in the UK and we have Europeans. So we have all those people. We have Australians as well. We have people in China, people in Shanghai, people in Singapore, obviously, and people in Hong Kong. So it really is a global marketing consultancy. It's one of the reasons why we listed is because we're listed on the NASDAQ because we're global. We're not just focusing on one particular country. LinkedIn is 500 million people globally, 500 million professionals globally. And that's really where we kind of see ourselves focusing on kind of the growth is in Asia. Since I've been to Asia, it's gone from 25 million to 100 million. And I know Australia has always been saturated, always been ahead of the game when it comes to LinkedIn, but the rest of Asia hasn't. It's catching up. So we're on the back of that whole catching up, particularly in China, where they only really introduced LinkedIn a couple of years ago, and now it's up to 25 million, which is 2.5 times that of Australia. So, and it tends to be entrepreneurs, it tends to be C-suite, it tends to be people looking globally, not just in China. And that's really the key. It's people looking globally because we're all global citizens now.
Yeah, great. So, I mean, what are the activities that people are actually doing? One, and then the one activity that you're really shifting them into. So what's the top activity?
We don't do anything to do with HR or talent. We leave other people to do that because that's saturated. We focus purely on your brand, your personal brand, because you're an entrepreneur. If you're a CEO of a multinational corporation or a small medium business, then you are the leader of that company. You to set the thoughts for that company, you set the strategy for that company. People join your company because of it. So it goes down to employer branding. People join you as a client because of you. People join you to engage and to be one of your workforce because of you. So we look at personal branding. We look at thought leadership on LinkedIn. We look at a content marketing strategy for both you and your company. And we look at how you generate leads using the data on LinkedIn because it's underutilized. Not many people know how to do it, but we've mastered how to actually use the Sales Navigator platform on LinkedIn to actually find leads for our clients all over the world. And that really is the key. It starts with your personal brand there. Goes to your company brand, and a content marketing strategy with thought leadership, and then the new business. So it's a 4-step process.
Okay, great. And so how much of that is in your book?
It's all in my book.
Right.
I mean, basically, I give away all our secrets in my book because anyone can do LinkedIn. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, most people come to us because they don't know the potential of it. It's not because they don't know the potential. They can see the potential. So they haven't got the time. Because LinkedIn is time draining. I mean, I spend 12, 14, 15 hours a day on it. Literally, I'm on the app all the time. Like 60% of people are these days on the app, just checking things and connecting and commenting and so forth, engaging with my community and vice versa. But it literally is time draining to do it properly. To engage, to create real relationships, real business relationships, you have to engage. It's like any business relationship, you have to put the effort in. Yeah. So I believe passionately in doing that, but unfortunately our clients can't because they're busy running their own companies. Sometimes they're running multinationals, sometimes they're running SMEs, they're trying to generate maybe revenue, trying to find employees, maybe they're just trying to find investors. So we help them elevate themselves on LinkedIn whilst they go and actually meet the people that we set up for them on LinkedIn.
Yeah, great. So define engagement for us, because some people will just go, okay, yeah, I need to engage, but then they might stop, dead in their tracks.
It's very much about LinkedIn. It's very much a sharing community. So it's like, I always relate LinkedIn as a business networking event. What do you do when you go to a business networking event? You say, hello, how are you? This is what I do. What do you do? Oh, by the way, we do this. Are there synergies there? We can talk together. Oh, by the way, what happened in the EU today? What happened in Australia today? What happened in Singapore today? You talk about things in a business context, and that's all LinkedIn. LinkedIn is me sharing things with you, you commenting, liking, disagreeing, or agreeing with me looking at your content, doing the same thing. And that's really the angles of LinkedIn. I love sharing, I love engaging, I love the civility on LinkedIn as well, because even if you passionately disagree with someone on LinkedIn, it tends to be civil because everyone can see who you are and everyone can see who you work for. So you don't get any of these anonymous trolls like you do on Facebook or Twitter who can just abuse you, or anonymous forums, for example, which is a lot in Australia, a lot in Singapore. And it's like LinkedIn, I can see where you're coming from, who you are, who you know, who we have in common. And that makes people think twice before actually abusing people. So it means there's a much better tone of business discussion. And it means you can actually put your points across, disagree, and say, look, I disagree with that. These are my points. And that's what I mean by engaging. True conversation and true business conversation where you actually find new things out that can change your life from, say, America or Australia or China, and you share it with other people. But vice versa, I'm sharing things from Southeast Asia to people in the West, for example, to people in Europe. And that's really what I mean by engaging. Genuinely sharing relevant and interesting topics and content which other people can benefit from in a business context.
You must still come across people that do forget the fact that their profile, is out there on the internet. It's 100% exposed. People do know where you work, potentially even where your office is, or sometimes where you live. So
every day. Every day,
people still say stupid stuff, right?
Well, not only do they say stupid stuff, they don't update their profiles.
Yeah.
So literally, every day I meet 5 to 10 executives and I pitch them new things. They start off with, I don't never do a presentation about marketing. I never have to. I just start with their profile on LinkedIn and say, do you realize I found this by typing your name into Google?
Yeah.
That's the first thing that came up. And they're shocked. And they're shocked when I type their company name in. I know, it's amazing. People are still shocked when you basically say, have you Googled yourself? What comes up? Your LinkedIn profile comes up. Is that the brand that you want people to see? Because in America they're seeing it, in the West they're seeing it, in Europe they're seeing it, in Australia they're seeing it, in Singapore they're seeing it. So if you don't have a very good profile, you can only blame yourself because you're in charge of your personal brand on LinkedIn. Whether you use us or somebody else or do it yourself, you're in charge. So it does astound me that people do not realize that not having a photograph, for example, not updating where they work, not having a summary section, not using the simple things that LinkedIn have. I mean, like I say, it's not rocket science. It's a set template. You can only do a certain amount of things, and all you've got to do is fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
But it's time and thought to actually do that. But you're also right that people still say stupid things on LinkedIn. But it's less so. It really is much, much less so than, say, on Facebook.
Yeah, and less so from probably 5 years ago. So
yes,
I actually recall having a debate with somebody on there, and I was astounded at the stuff they were saying. I was like, yeah. Anyway, So in terms of activity, we've got, you've got posts, so that publishing posts, then you've got, the ability to update your summaries, like you say, add media to all sorts of parts of your profile. And you've got groups. So, cover off each one of those for us, because published posts, like, how much impact are they making for people's personal brand? Is that the ideal place to be
That's
posting?
essential. To me, that's absolutely essential. There's a reason why LinkedIn is the biggest and most powerful publishing platform in the world. Because if I publish, all my connections then get a notification saying Chris has published. They can then comment, they can share, they can like. I then share that, which is original content, normally my thoughts about what's going on in the world in business, for example. I then share that in relevant groups. And if you get some really, really good groups, and there's lots on LinkedIn where there's people actually genuinely disagreeing or agreeing with you, you can get some fantastic conversations going. And the thing is, it's global. Literally, I will comment during the day, and I'm talking to Asians, for example, or people in Asia, and then overnight you'll see Europeans and Americans comment in the morning. I'll then start engaging with them. And you have this kind of global community talking global issues. And that's really, really key. But it starts with content. But they also want to see who you are, what you look like. So your views go up the more you post, the more interesting things you post. Not just spam, but interesting, relevant, interesting posts, both curated, as in unoriginal, from the Australian or the Telegraph or the BBC or whatever it happens to be, the Guardian, sharing that, but also created original posts. And you have to do both, because obviously you can't do posts all the time. It takes time to actually do blogging posts all the time. But by doing both, you elevate your brand. People become interested in you, and then they look at your profile, see what business you have. They then think about potentially doing business with you, think about recommending you to other people. And that's really the key, is that you have to get your profile right. So you have to get your headline right. What does your headline say? So, I use the word, the Mowhawk thing, for a very good reason. There are no other CEOs on NASDAQ with a Mowhawk. There's a simple brand positioning. I can walk down anywhere in Singapore or Shanghai or in Hong Kong, and people know who I am. I get people come up to me all the time in airport lounges and malls, for example, in Shanghai and Singapore and Hong Kong, saying, "Oh, you're the Mohawk guy from LinkedIn. Oh, you're Mr. LinkedIn. Oh, yeah, I've seen you on LinkedIn with a Mohawk." And it works. It's personal branding.
Yeah.
But I've elevated that and said, well, we do that for you. It doesn't have to be a Mohawk, can be something else. We take individual aspects of your character from a business perspective and actually elevate it so you get stand out. Because how else do you stand out amongst 500 million professionals on LinkedIn? Yeah. And it really is that side of things that people have to consider, their personal brand, their thought leadership. But content is so important, because if you don't have any content, you're not engaging. And that's really key, getting the content strategy right.
So what would you say about resharing content? So first, you've said it needs to be original content on LinkedIn, but a lot of people are blogging on their own blogs, their websites, creating content on YouTube and resharing it. So what would you say about that type of content? Should it be 100% original for LinkedIn only, or?
Well, there's one fundamental reason as to why that you should be doing that. It's because on your website, you cannot see who has actually viewed the profile or liked or viewed your blog or liked it or commented. Because if I go on there, I'd have to register. I like it, you don't know who I am. On LinkedIn, I can tell exactly who has liked, commented, and shared all my content. I can then follow up with them and say thank you. I can then engage with them. They become my amplifiers. They will then amplify my other content when I connect with them or follow them. I then want to see their content because they're live and active on LinkedIn too. They also potentially become a client. That's completely different than on your website, because on LinkedIn, you register who you are and you register your company so I can see exactly who you are. On your website, you don't. And you never would do, because no one would fill it in. Whereas on LinkedIn, you've already filled it in, so it's really, really easy then to just engage with somebody because they've already got the data there. And that's the fundamental difference. By all means, you can share and you can get people to like and so forth, but the only way to truly see who views your profile and who views your blogs is by publishing it on your profile on LinkedIn. And that, to me, is the key, because that's the key of social selling. Because if I comment on your blog, you can see who I am. I've made the first move in terms of an engagement, in terms of a relationship with you. You can then engage with me, knowing full well it's a soft sell because I've already made the first move. And that's really the key on LinkedIn. How do you get someone else to react first before you approach them?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of having conversations with people, let's cover off that a little bit. So we received a comment from somebody and said, hey, great piece of content. I'm sure you've received those messages that said, oh, look out, there's an opportunity. Boom, here's my sales letter. straight in the inbox. You know, obviously we want to build the relationship. So where would you take it from there? Just for example, I post a bit of content, you say you like it, and look out, looks like you'd be an ideal client for us. What would be your next step?
I mean, you try and take it offline. You have a conversation. You try and basically either meet them or have a Skype call.
Yeah.
You don't try and just basically, spam them straight away. Often people will say to me, what are your services? What do you actually do? You send them a message, maybe on email rather than on LinkedIn, for example, saying, here you are, and let's have a look at it and let's see if we can Skype and talk it through. I mean, I always see LinkedIn as a catalyst, both online and offline, because basically you engage online, but the ultimate objective is to meet people offline. It's things like this. It's meeting you face-to-face, whether it's on Skype or a networking event or a conference, but you've got to know someone a bit more first, because I can look at your profile, you can look at my profile. We can see people we know in common. We like Lee, for example. We can see people who are kind of like, connectors, like Lee is, for example. Yeah. So you can see other entrepreneurs which say, oh, yeah, no, Lee's a fantastic bloke, he's inspirational, and how do we work with him in terms of going forward? So it's that about it. The information's on LinkedIn gives you a head start, and that's really the key. Is that the more I know about you, the easier it is to create a relationship with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was quite amusing how Lee and I actually got connected, which I'm not sure if he's shared with you, but
no, he didn't. Go on.
So essentially, he was introduced to my profile, my LinkedIn profile, due to the Mental Revolution stuff we're doing, and he contacts me, and I just so happened to have probably had 10 inbox requests that week for coffees. And and to be honest, and I'd just been speaking to a client a day before, and who I'd asked out for lunch, and he said, I have a no lunch policy, and I thought that was quite amusing, and I went, well, I've been barraged enough this week, and one more wasn't going to help me. So I actually said to him, he said, "Excuse the cold introduction. I'm interested in your Mental Revolution stuff." And and I said, look, he said, "How about we catch up for a coffee?" And I said, "Oh, actually, I have a no coffee policy." And so I said, "But I'll happily catch up for lunch because I feel like that's it's a mutual benefit. I feel like I'm multitasking." And he actually goes, well, I have a no lunch policy. How about we catch up and don't eat or drink anything? And I went, who is this guy? He's hilarious. So I looked him up and I went, oh, shit, I didn't mean that. Bloody, he has quite he's a non-exec director of a publicly listed company. Maybe I should actually catch up with this guy. So it was quite interesting. And look, his sense of humor is what got us through, and honestly, I made a mistake, it was by not having that coffee with someone. So, and I get those requests all the time, and I think maybe I should just say yes more often. So if, regardless of who they are, and people wanted to catch up with a coffee, what should we be saying?
I mean, I definitely think you should, say yes more times than you say no, because you never know where those people are going to take you. You never know where you can take them. It's very much about quid pro quo. So it's very much, I think it's engaging. Like you say, you look at Lee's profile first, and you see if he's credible, you see if he's trustworthy, you see if he's a standing member of the community, the business community, and obviously he clearly is, and an inspirational entrepreneur, and he's an amazing guy to actually get to know. And then you make the judgment call, actually, you can do some things for him, he can do some things for you. It's a quid pro quo things. So it's worth having coffee or lunch or drinks or whatever it happens to be and engaging. But it's always in a business context. That's what I love about LinkedIn. It's a business context. That's why I get really annoyed when people start sharing content about weddings and babies and deaths and things like that. There's nothing to do with LinkedIn at all. Take that on Facebook. It's purely about business, and it should remain about business.
Absolutely. So just on that same topic, we've actually got that inbox request to go and have coffee. Now, people are, especially Australians, they won't catch up with you for a meeting unless there's an agenda. They want to know what it is that we need to catch up about. Yeah. And so is that a problem that we've got, and is it due to time, or do we just need to get over ourselves and maybe just say yes more often?
I definitely think that's a Western mentality, because I found that in America as well. I wrote a blog, for example, about why I was stopped at having 70,000 connections. And I got all these Americans going, you don't need 70,000 connections. I know the 433 people on my list intimately. I'm going, you missed the whole point of networking. And I say to them, and I genuinely say to them, look, I go to a networking event not to meet people I already know, but to meet new people. And I view LinkedIn the same kind of way. No, I don't know you now, but I will get to know you because I'm engaging and connecting. If I don't engage and connect, I can't get to know you. I can't see your content. I can't share. And vice versa. So to me, LinkedIn is just a huge networking event. And basically, I'm trying to get through the 450 million people, one by one. And I don't understand people who say, I have to meet people 3 times and have a signed confession from them they're never going to say anything bad about me before I actually connect with them. It's like, well, that's pointless. You're missing the point of LinkedIn. And I do think Australians are a bit like British people, because I found this in England, because when I used to use LinkedIn in England, it didn't work. It did not fundamentally work. I put that partly down to the weather, in that England is so horrible to actually get around. It's so horrible outside, and the tubes are so screwed up. You never want to travel anyway, so you want to go home at the end of the day, because it's too much hassle to actually even go across different parts of London. Whereas in Hong Kong or Singapore, the weather's fantastic all year round. Well, it is, at least it is in Singapore, not necessarily in Hong Kong, but Singapore, 365 days of the year, it's sunny. You go out 365 days of the year. I've never had so many events and networking things here as I do across, anywhere in the world. I can go out literally 6 or 7 times every single week to networking events, and they're on every single night, every single week, because it's always hot, it's always easy. The logistics are easy, the transportation is easy. So I do think there's an Asian mentality, particularly amongst expats in places like Singapore, Hong Kong, KL, even Manila, Jakarta, Shanghai, Beijing, where expats are actually part of, like, you're over here, you're out of your comfort zone, you experience a different life, experience a different culture, you want to meet people who've also done the same thing. What's your story? Why did you come here? What's your story? Why come? And the locals are fascinated by you, and you're fascinated by the locals, so there's lots of different angles there. So I think it's more of a catalyst to actually share and engage and network. And it comes across on LinkedIn that way. So 9 times out of 10, if people send me a message on LinkedIn and say, let's catch up for coffee, I do. I say yes. But I didn't used to in the UK, because in the UK it's just too much hassle. And in London it's even too much hassle. So, but here it's not. And in Hong Kong it's not. And in Shanghai it's not. And Sydney, I think it is. It's 50-50. I have set up several meetings in Sydney. I've said, look, I'm visiting Sydney for a week. And I've said, look, I want to meet 50 people. And it has worked. But that's because I'm creating an event around it. I'm saying, I'm only there for 4 days or 3 days, meet me or you lose the opportunity to meet the Mowhawk kind of thing, meet the opportunity and we can engage. And I've got no particular agenda. Yes, I'd like to sell you my services, but if you don't want to do that, that's fine. I'm really keen to understand what the landscape is like in Australia, what's it like in the Gold Coast, what's the business opportunities like, are there entrepreneurial opportunities, are there ways that we can do talks, we can help people on their LinkedIn, because I do lots of talks on LinkedIn without any commercial opportunity in mind for the NTUC here in Singapore, for example, which helps SMEs and helps PMEs actually develop their LinkedIn brand so they can get that next job, they can elevate themselves, they can understand how they can use content to get that new job or get promotion or start a business. So it's a mixture of, you're sharing content, but you're also sharing thoughts and experience, but you also want to connect as well. So not everything has to lead to a sale. Not everything has to have a defined objective behind it. Obviously, there's a fine line. If you did that all the time, you'd run out of business. But, so there's a fine line, especially as a NASDAQ CEO now. I have responsibility to my shareholders. So I can't say all I do is go around meeting people for coffee. So there is a 50-50 balance. And there has to be something. You have to look at their profile and say, look, will we do business? What can I do for you? What can you do for me? It's quid pro quo.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're of the mind that if we do more than what we get paid for, we'll eventually get paid more for what we do. And I can't actually recall who made that quote. I should actually find it.
It's a great one.
It is great. And it is about content marketing, right? You push out a lot of content. That's about personal branding. And I also believe in Dale Carnegie's Making Friends and Influencing People, which I bet has been a massive influence for you as well.
Oh, definitely. That actually one of the biggest influences I ever had was I got a Dale Carnegie course when I was 20 years old. It kind of changed my life. The whole, the name's the most important thing, the whole clear desk policy, the whole touch one things once, the whole kind of not what you know, it's who you know. That is the essence of that is ever standing. That's before internet or LinkedIn even existed. So Dale Carnegie, I think, is absolutely perfect. Yes, I think LinkedIn and Dale Carnegie go together perfectly.
Absolutely. So while we're on the topics of books and stuff that's influenced you in your life, what has influenced you? Is there been any particular reading other than Dale Carnegie stuff that I guess?
Well, I'll tell you, the biggest influence of my life was actually my grandfather, because I had lots of entrepreneurs in my family. My uncle was an entrepreneur, and he was a big influence of mine. My father was an entrepreneur; he was an influence to me. But my grandfather, I visited him in London when I used to be in Newcastle in the UK every single summer, and I learned so much about him. And when I was 9 years old, he said to me, "It's not what you know; it's who you know." And I kind of like, 9-year-old going, what the hell does that mean? I have no idea. Surely I'd go to school, I get O-levels, I get a degree, I go to work. And he said, no, it's not about your education. It's not even about your experience. It's about who you know. And it's very much about, relationships. And it wasn't until I started having relationships, obviously, in the business context, and actually learning about how people actually can follow you throughout your life and how you can follow them and influence them and vice versa, that I really understood it. And even when I started my own business in the UK, for example, interestingly, it always resonated in my own mind that all the people I worked for in my first 10 years of experience all became clients of my new business because I'd kept in touch with them. And even though I'd been fired by 2 of them, I'd made amends, I'd gone back to them, I'd apologized. Like I say, look, I was wrong, I was a hothead then, I did this or whatever, I got too big for my boots or so forth. And I actually said, and we created a relationship, even though we'd fallen out or the rest of it, because we actually said, look, actually, there was nothing there at all, this is business. And actually, they became my client. And that's really kind of, you can take someone from, effectively being fired, suing them, winning, and then take them back to, a couple of years later to being a client. I think that's the true thing of who you know, not what you know. That's the power of relationships. And that's all about LinkedIn. So when I came to Asia and I saw the power of LinkedIn, I didn't know anybody here. I knew 0 people here. And I used LinkedIn in the UK to find people over here to introduce me. I then used, obviously, people here on LinkedIn to find other people and to meet people and to say yes. And when I first came here, one of the essences of going back to your point about networking is I reached out to people in Singapore and said, do you want to have a cup of coffee? And they said yes. And that made a lasting impression on me. So when people write to me now and say, look, I'm new in Singapore, I'd like to see how you work here, I say yes. Because you have to, because basically it's repaying what people did for me. It's quid pro quo. It's almost like the karma side of things. If I said no, I'd look absolutely terrible because people gave me the benefit of their time and they did not have to. Yeah. Now, one of my best friends here, for example, is now the digital marketing director of a very large media corporation. And at the time, he was like, I think he ran he was MD of an agency. He had no reason to say yes to me whatsoever. He was a fantastic Filipino guy, and he's remained my friend throughout his career. And we jostle on LinkedIn all the time. But, he did not have to say yes. But he basically, I saw that as being the spirit of Asia, the spirit of networking, the spirit of saying yes when people reach out. So I think that's really, really, really important. So that whole quote about not what you know, who you know, has resonated with me. And I even have banners done on LinkedIn about it. I use it in my quotes, I use it in my presentation, I use it in my book, because that is all about LinkedIn.
Absolutely. I'll hit record again. What are you drinking, by the way? You've got a couple of drinks going on. All right.
Tea, obviously, because I'm English, and soda water.
At the speed you were talking, I just assumed it was a mother or an energy drink. And a coffee.
I don't need that.
Very good, very good. So we were saying just before, what was life like before black marketing, and I just wouldn't mind covering off that a little bit again. So you landed in Singapore
7 years ago. Yes,
7 years ago, and you got a job doing what?
I got a job doing marketing, doing social media marketing. I got it through LinkedIn. Like I've got all my jobs through LinkedIn. I started using LinkedIn in the various jobs I started getting. And then more and more people realized the power of LinkedIn. More people said to me, how do you get LinkedIn? Because I was winning new business. I kept on winning clients in Shanghai and Japan and Australia and New Zealand and KL, Jakarta. People go, wow, how do you do that? Saying, well, it's LinkedIn. I just contacted them on LinkedIn and say, hey, do you want to have a chat? And they said yes. And we met, we did a deal, and that was it. And they thought, wow, is that easy? And it's like, that's where it all took off from. People kept on coming to me then and saying, please do my LinkedIn profile. Please help me with my LinkedIn strategy. Please do our LinkedIn training. And that's where, because I was an entrepreneur, I'm always looking for that next entrepreneurial angle. A bit like Lee's always looking for that kind of next angle. So I was an entrepreneur in the UK, and I did a very tough thing called partnership marketing, which is extraordinarily difficult because you have to get 2 people to agree. And people always disagree because they want their logo as big as the other person's logo. So it's quite like, okay, well, forget about this, because it's a bit like trying to solve the Middle East peace process like 10 times a week. It's just not going to happen. And you didn't get paid enough because they would go, well, I'm Coca-Cola. Surely Nike should be paying. And Nike would go, no, we're Nike. Coca-Cola should be paying. It's like, oh, God, go and do it yourself. And so LinkedIn's much easier because basically we know the expertise, we're the experience. I know what works because I've actually done it myself. I still use LinkedIn now to generate leads because I now generate more leads on LinkedIn than we do any other medium. So people say to me, does it really work? Does it really work? I've built an entire NASDAQ listed business based on it working. And we still win business through it. And that's the key, is that basically we are practicing what we preach. I'm not basically calling you up and trying to sell you something. And I laugh when people mail me or call me and say, do you want to use our call center to generate leads? And I say, do you know what we do? Do you actually know what we do? We do LinkedIn marketing. If I call somebody up and said to them, do you want to become a client? They would say to me, why would I become a client of yours when you've just said to me, by calling me, LinkedIn doesn't work? So I passionately believe in practicing what I preach, which is why we generate leads through LinkedIn.
Excellent, excellent. So where to from there? I mean, you're operating in 12 different countries at the moment. Is that?
It's global, really. It's not even 12 countries anymore. Now we're on NASDAQ. It's very much global. Even when I was in Stockholm, where we listed on the NASDAQ there, it's basically I had like 35 meetings lined up from 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, because people were intrigued about LinkedIn. They use LinkedIn, but not properly. And they're amazed about how we actually work. So it's very much a global operation. We just focus on the country, and we basically focus on it and say, do you want to have a chat about LinkedIn? And we get like 10, 15, 20 replies. Because people are fascinated about how you use LinkedIn. And that's really the key, is that everyone can access it, whether you're here in America, in Brazil, in Shanghai, in Sweden, in London, wherever it happens to be. We're all on the same platform. And it's an English-speaking network as well. And although you can change it to different languages, basically it's an English-speaking network. So it really does benefit a global business language and a global business sense of wanting to do business with each other. And that's really the keys. I think we're just scraping the surface, particularly in Asia. Because once Asia really gets going in terms of more higher internet connection, for example, in places like Vietnam and Cambodia and Sri Lanka and India and Taiwan and Japan start cottoning onto it, and Korea starts cottoning onto it a bit more, and China starts not very much speeding up their internet as well, because that's the big thing that stops them in Shanghai and Beijing. That's the potential. They've grown to 22 million people, which people don't think is a lot, but actually it's obviously all tends to be CEOs and expats and executives who want to look outside China, and that's the key. Is the potential here is phenomenal, because it should grow to 200, 300, 400 million, especially now it's now owned by Microsoft. Because Microsoft have actually put out there and said they've got 1 billion business customers, and LinkedIn have only got 500 million. So the combination of that is the biggest growth of Microsoft in Asia. The biggest growth for LinkedIn in Asia. Combination of that together should mean there's a great future for my business in Asia.
Very good, very good. So you're going to keep your headquarters in Singapore?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, I mean, there are so many benefits to being here, not just the weather and the civility of people and the lack of crime and so forth, but actually the logistics. And I wasn't, the reason why it is a regional hub is absolutely key. I can literally go to Perth in 3.5 hours. I can go to Hong Kong in 3.5 hours. I'm half an hour from KL. I'm an hour from Jakarta. I'm 2.5 hours from Manila. I'm 2.5 hours from Bangkok. I'm 6 hours from Tokyo. I'm 6 hours, 4 or 5 hours from Shanghai. So wherever you are in Asia, I can reach you within 5 or 6 hours, and the majority under 3 hours. And that's really the key. It is magical for doing that. But also, because it's very much a business-friendly city, it's a business-friendly country. The government here are the most business-friendly you'll ever come across in the whole world. They try and help you. They aid you with money, with training the Singaporeans up. They treat people up with business courses. They treat people, and they actually get people to think about, what will you do in your life? Because there's no benefit system here like there is in Australia or the UK. You basically work, you pay into a central fund, which is basically yours to actually, buy a pension with, and you're in charge of your community. You're in charge of your future. So people have the option of retiring, but actually a lot of people don't, because they just keep on working, partly because it's a very expensive city, but also because you can here. And because, if you're an entrepreneur like me, why would you want to stop? You just meet interesting people all the time. Because there are always people coming and going in Singapore. It's a very transient country. I lose friends 2 or 3 times a month because they go back to the UK, or they go to Japan, or they go to Australia, or they go to China. That's just the nature of Singapore. But more people come in. So you meet new friends. And that's what I say about saying yes. Because you have to say yes here, because the population is changing on a constant basis. And that's the amazing thing. And the Singaporeans in general are kind of absolutely fantastic people to do business with, and the most friendly in the whole of the world as well. And it's the most easy place to get around in the world. So it's a fantastic location to reach anywhere in the world, particularly in Asia Pacific.
Great. And is there any vision to come to the Gold Coast? What's your views on setting up an office here, for example, or basing some of your business from here?
Well, it is the Silicon Valley of Australia, isn't it? So.
Oh, don't say that word. No,
Sweden was the Silicon Valley of Europe this year. When I went there, it was actually quite...
We're independent. We're independent of any silicons, or any valleys. Yeah. It's a technology hub of Australia. For
Technology hub, definitely. An entrepreneurial hub as well. I mean, Lee's always raving about kind of like entrepreneurialism in Gold Coast. It does seem to stand out more than Melbourne and Sydney when it comes to being entrepreneurial. And there's less corporates, so there's more entrepreneurs and there's more kind of like SMEs. That's right. And it does seem to be more dynamic and more creative. So it looks like a magical hub. So yeah, if we could find LinkedIn partner there to help us resell our services down there, we'd love to set up there.
Excellent, excellent. Well, the message is out there. So given that people can't connect with you on LinkedIn.
Send me messages. I'm an open link messenger, open link, so they can always send me messages on LinkedIn. So you don't have to use an in-mail. So anyone can send me a message. Anyone can follow me on LinkedIn. So please do contact me on LinkedIn. It's free.
Okay, awesome. What's your number one message for people, with regards to creating connections and building their business on LinkedIn?
I mean, it is basically, it isn't about not what you know, it's who you know. And say yes to people. Don't be frightened of connecting with people. Reach out to other people and then engage and genuinely engage. Don't just spam them, but genuinely engage with a proper conversation in a business context. And that's what I would say. Just treat it like you would treat a normal business networking event. Treat someone with respect. They will treat you with respect. Engage. If you can do business together, fantastic. If you can help them, fantastic. If you can't, don't worry about it. Look at the bigger picture of they may know people further down the line who can introduce you to you and vice versa. And that's what LinkedIn's all about. It's very much about who you know, not what you know. And I would say just get stuck into it, embrace it, be enthusiastic about it, be open-minded about it. And don't close your connections. Don't say, I have to know someone 3 times and have 4 handshakes with them before I actually connect with them. Actually just engage and say yes.
Okay, great. And in terms of creating content, where should we be posting that content on LinkedIn? Where's the number one place that we should be putting it?
Number one place is your own blog on your profile. So I can go
publishing
to your
posts
and read your blogs. That's the number one place to be. Yes, publishing your own created, your own original content. But also you should obviously be publishing and sharing legitimate content in various groups as well you want to influence. And think about the people you actually want to influence. The key with groups on LinkedIn is not to join groups that you like the sound of, or you like because this is a nice group, I like the people in that group. It's actually think about, who can I do business with? Who potentially become my clients? What groups are they in? And how can I engage with them? And think about how you can post in that and target them with specific content. That's the key on LinkedIn, is actually just look more openly, more externally, not inwardly and internally.
Excellent. Excellent. So obviously to all of our viewers and listeners out there on the podcast, we absolutely encourage you to follow Chris J. Mowhawk Reid on LinkedIn. Other than that, absolutely go to Amazon and purchase LinkedIn Mastery for Entrepreneurs. It's also available in Kindle. And have you done the audiobook version yet, Chris?
I haven't done it yet, no. There's about 40,000 words, so no, I haven't done the audiobook just yet. I'd love to get someone very famous to actually do it, maybe like someone suave and sophisticated who would basically, completely opposite to me.
Oh, come on. I absolutely love hearing the author's voice, and I think that's a big selling point.
Maybe if I take a week off at Christmas time, I can do that.
Excellent.
They don't celebrate Christmas in Asia, so, I can't do that either. So.
All right. Do you have any time for holidays then?
Say again?
You have any time for holidays? Do you take the...
No, I actually don't. But I don't need to, because I feel like I travel so much. And I love it so much traveling. In the last 6 months, I've been all over Asia, and I go to Hong Kong on a regular basis, Shanghai on a regular basis, Beijing, Sydney in October, for example, Shanghai twice and coming up in September. I've just been to Jakarta, just been to Manila. I'm going to Bangkok in July. I'm going to Vietnam and Cambodia in July and August time. I don't need to have holidays, because I get to all these places and go and talk and go and speak about LinkedIn. So I get to do my passion of traveling, meeting people, and talking about LinkedIn at the same time. It's fantastic.
Excellent. Well, Chris, I actually haven't read your book, but I can't wait to do so. I just did a little talk on personal branding the other day, and obviously I refer them to Mental Revolution. So I hope the people that I did speak to the other day absolutely get to listen to this on Mental Revolution in the coming weeks. So thanks very much for your time, Chris. And I look forward to continuing the chat.
Fantastic stuff. And share it with me so I can share it on LinkedIn. I want to share this podcast on LinkedIn. I'll do a special blog just for you.
Absolutely. That'll be fantastic. I'll just stop that recording, and thanks again, mate.
Pleasure.